The Tragedy of Cinema podcast is intended as a family-friendly program that by extension strives to be inclusive to all people regardless of their ethnicity, gender, creed, or any other identifying factors in this incredibly diverse world of ours. With that said, some of the films we discuss may contain serious subject matters or have content considered morally objectionable by today's standards. We do not intend to condone or dismiss these aspects of these films, but our primary focus will be on what we believe the film succeeds at, some fun facts, and our personal enjoyment factors of each film. With that said, we hope you enjoy the show.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Tragedy of Cinema podcast. We are just going to go ahead and jump right into this, continuing on with our review of Schindler's List. Part one got a little too long, and we didn't want to go ahead and just keep, letting it go, because at a certain point you have to cut it off or you can't upload it. So
yeah,
and that gave Kyle a little time to catch his breath, and get a drink,
and for Jimbo
wipe his nose, wipe his tears, go to the buffet, all the good stuff. So we had to get that out of there.
Bare necessities, the essentials of Kyle.
You've got the bare necessities.
Okay.
All right, we got to do the old.
Back on the tone.
Back the face is back in, set like a flint. All right, so here we go. According to the scriptwriter Frederick Raphael, not the turtle, when he suggested to Kubrick the Schindler's List was a good representation of the Holocaust, Kubrick commentated that think that's about the Holocaust. That was about success, wasn't it? Kubrick, the Holocaust is about 6 million people who get killed. Schindler's List is about 600 who don't. I understand what he was trying to say, but the way he said it just makes him sound like a horrible person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was a success because we killed 6 million people and not the 600 that got saved, is the way that I read into that.
Yeah, I understand that, too. And we're doing it here as well as a generalization. We consider it like a Holocaust film, and at the end of the day, it's kind of like, that's a little bit disingenuous. This is a film about Oskar Schindler, a man who saved, over 1,000 Jews during the Holocaust. It's not a film about the Holocaust necessarily, that same kind of respect. So I think I see, we kind of agree, like, Stanley Kubrick's point, while being aggressive and pretty rude, is the same point there. It's like, it's there's a reason why many people who are Jewish people don't actually see this as a Holocaust film necessarily. They see it as a film about, a savior, not, simply that thing. So it's important to recognize that too,
Right.
So, hopefully moving forward, we will be films that will cover the future. They'll cover more about the Holocaust directly, but this film, too, is about Oskar Schindler first and foremost.
Fiennes put on 28 pounds to play this role. He watched historical newsreels and talked to Holocaust survivors who knew Goth. In portraying him, Fiennes said, "I got close to his pain. Inside him is a fractured, miserable human being. I feel split about him, sorry for him. He's like some dirty, battered doll I was given, and that I came to feel peculiarly attached to."
Yeah, it kind of what I was kind of like praising for him earlier is like getting in the mindset of someone who is so morally reprehensible and no doubt miserable in life is got to be difficult. So It's impressive to do that.
Ralph Fiennes' character Amongoth doesn't appear until nearly 52 minutes into this film. The song being played when Schindler enters the nightclub and meets all of the Nazi officials is called "Por una Cabeza." The same song is played as the tango in True Lies in 1994 and Son of a Woman in 1992. So there's some other movie tie-ins. Let's see here. Spielberg and his wife Kate Capshaw and their 5 children rented a house in suburban Krakow for the duration of filming. He later thanked his wife for rescuing me 92 days in a row when things just got too unbearable. Claire Danes was originally considered by Steven Spielberg for a role, but she turned it down because he couldn't provide her with tutoring on the set. The part for which she was considered for is unknown.
Interesting fact there.
Yeah. In a television interview with actual Larry King on the Larry King Live Show in 1985, Dustin Hoffman claimed that he was originally offered the role of Isaac Stern by Steven Spielberg and accepted it, but was quoted in the media as declining the part due to mix-up in communication between his agent and Spielberg. However, he praised Sir Ben Kingsley's performance as Stern as a marvelous job.
Dustin Hoffman would have been an interesting character to see trying to play that role. I think Ben Kingsley, even now, has the ability to kind of inhabit a character where he kind of dissolves. You don't think you see Ben Kingsley there. You just see the character he's playing. Dustin Hoffman, I think, is a little bit on the other side where I always see Dustin Hoffman in the character he's playing.
And I think probably part of that is because he just got done filming Hook, where he played Captain Hook, and that was with Steven Spielberg too. So maybe it was just easier for Spielberg to say, "Hey, I'm going from this project to this project. Do you want to come?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he probably was easy to work with. I don't know.
I'm sure they had a working relationship. They wanted to continue, but either way, just blocking communications fell through. And
the film's epilogue states, and you got to remember this was in 1993. There are fewer than 4,000 Jews left alive in Poland today. There are more than 6,000 descendants of the Schindler Jews. This film's closing memorial and dedication states in memory of more than the 6 million Jews murdered. So very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Steven Spielberg left the editing of Jurassic Park for 2 weeks so he could start shooting this film in Poland. But as we stated in the last episode, he took the proper things by like buying satellite companies, 2 different ones, and so he could communicate.
Downloading all those kind of things.
Right.
Enormous expense for the time. Nowadays you can do it for 20 minutes.
In AFI's top 100 heroes and villains, Oskar Schindler is ranked number 13 as a hero, and Amongoth at number 15 as a villain. So very interesting. Selected by the Vatican in the values category of its list of 45 great films, it is the only R-rated movie on the entire list.
Wow, that's incredible to think of, and interesting for the Vatican to choose that film.
Here you go. This guy just seems to just creep up in almost every episode we do now.
Mm-hmm.
Polanski turned down the chance to direct the film, later commenting, "I certainly wouldn't have done as good as a job as Steven Spielberg because I couldn't have been as objective as he was."
Yeah, I can certainly understand that. And he later made I think it was the Pianist in like 2002 or 2003, around there. And that's despite my misgivings about Roman Polanski, that is an excellent film. So that's an interesting thing to see. Although I would be happy if Roman Polanski wasn't a reoccurring character in this podcast as well.
In 2007, the American Film Institute ranked Schindler's List number 8th on its list of the 100 best American films of all time. The film was designated as culturally historical as to significant by the Library of Congress in 2004 and selected for preservation in the National Film Registry, which, if any of the movies that we have talked about deserves it, this definitely is one that is most deserving in my opinion. Mm-hmm. This is interesting too. Stellan Skarsgård was considered for the role of Oskar Schindler. The role went to Liam Neeson. Neeson was originally set to play Father Frank Marin in Exorcist: The Beginning in 2004, but dropped out and was replaced by Skarsgård. So a little interesting
small world moment,
tidbit, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess
everyone's always talking to everybody in films. Yeah.
So he's basically picking up the pieces that Liam's leaving behind. Yeah. I don't want to do that. I'm leaving this one to go do this one.
Yeah. Always orbit around Liam Neeson, get money.
Speaking of that, do you think that? Okay, Kyle, let's just say, we'll just use you for example. Let's say you were, I'm just going to start making up movies that don't exist.
Yeah.
So, Kyle, you were slated to be in Tommy Boy 2 as Chris Farley.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be a huge honor.
Oh, okay. Wow. So you're signed on for this. Well, here comes along, let's say, the new Star Wars movie, the Jabba Hutt Chronicles, and you are scheduled to play Jabba the Hutt.
Exactly, yeah.
No, wait. But you've already signed on to do Tommy Boy 2. So, but Jabba the Hutt's offering you like $6 million more. Would you give up the role of Tommy Boy 2 just to go pursue Jabba the Hutt because of more money? Or do you think that's how actors work? Is it just based solely on more money? Or do you think it's just based upon the role that they're offered? Do you think it's a combination of both? Do you think it's time? Do you think it's...
It is all important. I think it's got to be not just about the money. It's got to think about your whole career going forward. If you want to keep being in films, which films do you got to stick with? End of the day, like breaking a contract is always, it looks bad. But if you do it for an understandable reason, it doesn't look as bad. Like, of course, they offered me more money, so I went there. I'm sorry, had to cut through this, do it the right way. So, like, me personally, I always want to, I want to have the idealistic view of going with the role that I think is the most important artistic symbol, not just about the money. But at the same time, though, no one's ever offered me $6 million or millions of dollars to be like, oh, hey, do this.
Well, but do you think would? Do you think that you would ever take a lesser role or a different role for lesser money just because it's a different type of movie that you've never done before, so you're not cast as a method actor?
Oh yeah, I don't want to be typecast, something like that too. Oh yeah, definitely.
I guess Tommy Boy and Jabba was probably not the best scenario to use there because I kind of typecasted you, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. But do you understand? If I was Tommy Boy or Jabba the Hutt, I get to eat donuts for the rest of my life. That's fun too.
The free buffet still.
Exactly, free buffet for life.
No, it's just always been an interesting thought of mine. If you would go for lesser money to do a movie, maybe something you believed in, even though it might be less of a payday, instead of doing a movie that you were just okay, I guess, and it's like $10 million more.
I don't begrudge anyone who gets typecasted or is a method actor. I think that's also a great career path in their own way. If they get like constantly like locked into that role, like Hugh Laurie playing doctors after he played Dr. House, like it's like I think that's perfectly fine. Like if he wants to do other things, I get it. But also like you can ride just being a doctor in all these TV shows for a while. So I think that's perfectly fine as well. So like me personally, like if I felt like I was being typecasted in something that was actually flattering to me, not just Tommy Boy or Jabba the Hutt, right. I think I would be perfectly fine with being in that kind of like role of like, oh yeah, I'm known for being this kind of character.
Well, but also if you go do the Jabba the Hutt, then you can go live on just signing autographs at conventions the rest of your life too.
Exactly.
When it all dries up.
Yeah, I'd actually think like probably of like modern times, like Seth Rogen, like for a while, for like the first like decade and a half of his career, it's just like I am the best friend who smokes way too much marijuana. That's all he is for like the first like 15 years of his career in every single movie he's in. Yeah. So I don't think anything's wrong with that. I think that's perfectly legitimate for a Hollywood career. So yeah, I feel fine. Right. So I would do what I feel more comfortable with, I guess.
And you would do them both if you could. Yeah. So director Steven Spielberg, as we stated, often watched Seinfeld episodes to relieve some of the stress. Ironically, this film became part of Seinfeld later on in one episode of Seinfeld called The Raincoats. Features a storyline where Jerry can't have relations with his girlfriend because of his parents' overlong stay at his house. So he makes out with her at a movie theater. However, the theater is showing Schindler's List.
Oh my God.
And Newman rats him out to his Jewish parents. So I was like... I mean, if there's one movie that you shouldn't make out in, it's obviously Schindler's List. Because,
That definitely makes the short list. It definitely gets up there. A movie you shouldn't get it on.
But then again, it is 3.5 hours long. So, I mean... let's keep going. So here's some other roles that were people that were considered for the role of Oscar Schindler. How about Warren Beatty?
I could see it. He's an excellent actor. He definitely do the role.
Definitely is. Mm-hmm. Then it says Mel Gibson again, but we've already talked about that.
I already have thoughts about that.
Yeah, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
I'm going to say about that.
Spielberg used proceeds from the film to finance several related documentaries. So the thing about Spielberg is the guy's just got so much money, and he wants to... I genuinely believe he has a heart for people. So he actually gave money to finance documentaries. Anne Frank Remembered in 1995, The Lost Children of Berlin in 1996, and The Last Days in 1998.
Mm-hmm. I know it's popular in vogue now for kids that really, really hate people that are obscenely rich. I don't consider Steven Spielberg that obscenely rich compared to billionaires or stuff like that too. But still,
he probably is a billionaire.
Well, it's close to it, if not. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm sure he's worth more than hundreds of millions of dollars. But at the same time, though, it's he does clearly have a beneficial heart and wants to do things that he's passionate about, and also donate things to charity.
Speaking of that, do you think that when Lucas did that gentleman's agreement about proceeds from Star Wars, that when he sold it to Disney, do you think Spielberg still gets a cut of that, or do you think when he sold it, he lost his rights too?
I'm going to say I bet he lost the rights to that,
but he probably got a cut of what he sold it for, right?
Yes, I would say I would definitely
2% or whatever.
I would definitely think that for sure. Yeah, but I'm sure Disney.
He got paid one way or the other.
Spielberg always gets paid, but I'm sure Disney also, I'm sure he was in the room there okay, this is what's going to happen to you after this deal happens, and they got through with that, because I'm sure they always want to make sure Spielberg's happy as well with Disney.
Right.
Yeah.
Despite both being Nazis, the moral divide between Schindler and Goethe is literally represented by the shadow that divides the frame, which I thought was very interesting too. Mm-hmm. This is one of those movies that's obviously on the 1,001 movies must see before you die. I would even probably put it in the top 50 movies, maybe top 20 that you need to see before you die. Mm-hmm. If not even top 10. It's just that much.
You can make a strong case for wherever you want to put it on how you want to put it on the list.
Even the great Roger Ebert, it was on his list of great movies, so it's in good company. And I'm not saying I agree with every movie that Roger Ebert and Siskel liked or disliked, but I have to agree with him on this one. Mm-hmm. Liam Neeson said he got the role because he hugged Kate Capshaw's mother while he was naked. Nelson auditioned for the role of the war hero Oscar Schindler in the film, but he felt the session had gone so badly that he didn't wait to get a call back and signed on for a Broadway play opposite Natasha Richardson, who would become his wife. Wild reviews for his performance drew Steven Spielberg, his then-wife Kate Capshaw, and her mother to the theater to see it. Neeson said, "They came backstage and there was a knock on my door, and I was practically naked, and it was Steven and Kate's mom. And Kate's mother was quite tearful and emotional, and as naked as I was, I went over and gave her a big hug. About a week after that, Steven called me and he said, 'Do you want to be Oscar Schindler?' Kate apparently has said to Steven on the way home that when I hugged her mom, that's just what Oscar Schindler would have done in that situation."
Okay.
Maybe not naked, but maybe the emotional hug.
Yeah,
you know what
emotional hug, the emotional support. That's good to see. Okay.
Filmmaker Michael Haneke criticized the sequence in which Schindler's women are accidentally sent off to Auschwitz and herded into the showers. Quote, "There's a scene in that film when we don't know if there's gas or water going to be coming out in the showers in the camp. You can only do something like that with a naive audience like in the United States. It's not an appropriate use of the form. Spielberg meant well, but it was dumb." Kyle?
I'm going to let his judgment stand.
Can I just say, I've heard of Steven Spielberg. Filmmaker Michael Haneke. Kyle, give me a movie he's done.
I don't know.
Exactly.
No,
look it up. See if he's even done a movie that you even know.
Let me look at his name and try to spell it correctly.
Hang on. Let me say this one more fact, and I'll give you this list. Steven Spielberg was convinced that this film would lose every cent of its $22 million budget. To his surprise, it went on to gross over $320 million worldwide. It's right there. So look to see what he...
Right here. I see it. I got you. Okay. Michael Haneke.
Director Steven Spielberg considers this movie to be the crowning achievement of his career. I would say thus far it probably is. Even though I'm a big fan of Indiana Jones. Just saying.
Yeah. You're right. There are not many movies I've seen at all. And he's an Austrian filmmaker, so like he made Austrian films, so forth. So this is also kind of thing where just like I feel like I'm like he's a foreign director for foreign films. I haven't watched himself, so I'm not going to be critical of him there. And also Austrian, having familiar with the Holocaust, like I think his personal like critical stance there is valid. I'm not going to judge that at all, and I'm not a historian who knows things past that. So like I don't.
Oh, you just don't like confrontation. Admit it.
Yeah, too. Yeah, sure. Okay, fine.
Schindler has to rescue Stern from a train bound for death camp, foreshadowing his eventual rescue of all of his co-workers. And I saved this one till the last because this was probably one of the parts in the movie that just destroyed me. The whole film is in black and white. And there is this one scene where Schindler's on a date with this girl on top of, like, overlooking Auschwitz, I guess, or the city. And... the Germans have come in and they are just starting to massacre the Jews and move them out to wherever. And there's this little innocent girl, and the beauty of the filmmakers decided to give her this red coat, and it stands out. And Oskar Schindler is just drawn to her, and he's watching her. And she doesn't know any better. She's skipping down the road, walking down the road. People are being shot around her, people being murdered, firing squads, and you just follow her walking down the aisles and going up the street, down the street, and she's just innocent. You know what I mean? She doesn't really have the idea of what's surrounding her. And to me, that was just such a powerful, powerful scene. And what was even worse than that is come to find out later in the film when they're dumping the bodies, I think, in a mass grave. Her body's there with the red coat. And it just tore me apart. But the girl in the red coat was a real girl. Her name was Roma Lagaka. Unlike her film counterpart, she survived the war and wrote a memoir titled "The Girl in the Red Coat," a memoir, which I'd love to read. How do I want to put this? If you got something to say, get that, Kyle. Go ahead. Let me collect my thoughts real quick.
I would say, looking at more production of this film, I saw some other notes specifically too. Like the girl in the red coat was kind of like the turning point for how Spielberg realized he wanted to film this film, how he wanted to film this whole movie overall, and how it's Schindler's turning point. After Schindler sees that girl, he goes from being the opportunist trying to get rich off the war to being the Jewish sympathizer trying to save as many Jews as possible. That's kind of the turning point of his heart in this film. And it goes to show that his turning point is also, in many ways, kind of too late in his own mind. Right. When he sees that she's been added to the mass grave, that he realized that he needs to be helping them right now, and he should have been helping them sooner. Right. And that also comes to a head at the very end of the film.
That's exactly what I was going to talk about. Is the ending? Is there's a scene where Schindler goes back to, I guess, his.
Factory,
right.
End of the war.
And he announces that, hey, the war's over, you're free. And Schindler's leaving, and I forget the guy's name. The guy, they come up and they have all went together and they have made him or given him this watch. Mm-hmm. And
the ring.
Oh yeah, the ring. Sorry, and he just Schindler, and wasn't there? They say something like, this is so you can always remember us, you know what I mean? And Schindler breaks down, and he's like, I could have saved more, I should have done more. And they're like, look, you did what you could do, and this is something you remember us by, and we're always forever grateful. And if that doesn't move you when you watch the movie, nothing will move you. You're not a human being. I mean, it's just that powerful of a scene with everything that them people went through and everything that Schindler went through, the tricks and connivery that he went through, and the battle between him and Ralph Fiennes' character about sending people, because they were shipping them to concentration camps to kill them by train, because they were supposed to be loading the one train going to another place. He was trying to rescue him by sending this train somewhere else. When he finds out that they actually they went behind his back and they were sending that train to the concentration camp. It's just a very, very powerful moment of this film.
It's a powerful film, and it's a powerful scene, but specifically right there too. And I love it for the fact that it leaves you uncomfortable. It doesn't seek to try and diffuse it at all. It's left there with him, just cursing himself basically for not having saved more. And it's not like someone says something that makes him like, oh, okay, I did save a lot of dudes, something like that. He is left still emotionally distraught. He has that feeling forever in his life, presumably after that scene, that he wished he could have done more. He wished he started doing the right thing sooner. Right. And it leaves you there in that uncomfortable feeling that you can also, always kind of pursue in your own life, like, is there more things I can be doing? The lingering doubt that I haven't done good enough yet. Those kind of feelings that I think a lot of people can relate to. And I adore that scene for it specifically.
And there's a great quote there that Jew says to him. I can't think of his name.
Any man that saves one life saves the world entirely.
And it was just wow. So, Kyle, I'm going to go ahead and go first on my feelings of this movie this week.
Okay.
I absolutely believe that everybody should watch this movie. There is some nudity, of course, when they strip the women and the men of their clothing, and they take them to the gas chambers / showers, and like the Germans are scrubbing them down, almost beyond what needed to be done because they thought they were dirty.
Treating Jewish people like animals.
Right. Yeah. That's basically what it was, and being led to their slaughter. This movie, when it started off, I didn't really know, because I had watched bits and pieces. I don't know if I'd ever sat all the way through it, because it's a hard set to watch through all in one sitting. So when it started, I was like, well, am I really going to enjoy this? Why are we doing this for the podcast? But then it is in the top 100 movies, top 20 usually. So when you start sitting and watch it, it's different than any other movie that Steven Spielberg has ever done, in my personal opinion, including Saving Private Ryan. He takes you on a journey, not just from the Jews, but actually from the German Oskar Schindler, who is actually on both sides of the fence, if you will. At the beginning of the movie, he's very much inside of the German camp. He's like, hey, I can, some of these people, we shouldn't just send them away to concentration camps, because some of them actually have skills. They can actually help me make money and help the German make money, help make pots, pans, whatever they need to make. So he comes up with that plan to do that. And then as you see him struggle, as he's struggling against the Germans, struggling against, with the Jews, and, they go through there. And to see his transformation from the man that he started the movie with to the man at the end of the movie with, he just gained my total respect. I'd actually like to read. This actually made me want to read the biography of Oskar Schindler to find out the real Oskar Schindler. And then at the epilogue, when you see all them actors and the real life survivors of the Holocaust that he saved coming and putting the stones on his actual grave, and then a lot of them saluted him. A lot of them did a lot of stuff, said prayers, whatever they did. I mean, if that doesn't make you tear up right then and there, no movie will. And this is a movie that I don't want to say I enjoy it, because you shouldn't enjoy something like this. But I'm enjoyed that I actually watched it and watched it all the way through, because the lessons that you learn from this movie will stick with you the rest of your life. Yeah,
you appreciate the emotional movement you had and the lessons that imparted on you.
So that's when you got people out there that, the Holocaust didn't exist, or this didn't do this didn't do this. You think back to a movie like this, and while it may have been changed somewhat, but I think Spielberg tried to keep it as historically accurate as he could. By doing his research and doing all that, and the way Steven Spielberg does things.
Sometimes his main priority was to emotionally convey the feeling of being trapped in that kind of situation. And I think he did an excellent job of that.
The cinematography in this movie, even though it's in black and white, it is captivating. Mm-hmm. And that little girl in the red coat, I mean, that's the one that got me probably the hardest in this movie. But I mean, you've got another sad one is when they're coming through that town because it's clean out day or whatever, and you got that little kid that's running and trying to hide in like the floorboards, and they're like, "There's no space in here for you." Then he runs, and you see him jump down in an outhouse, and they're like, you got to leave. This is our hideout. Yeah, they're down in the sewage,
and they're still saying, this is not a place for you.
So that poor kid, and then you had the little kid that is actually part of the Germans who was actually friends with them. He's helped clearing the streets. Like, look, you got to come. I can hide you. You know what I mean? He's like, and so, you think as bad as it was on the parents and on the adults, you start wondering about the kids that was there in real life, and it's just heartbreaking. So for me, it's definitely a great movie. It's definitely a movie you should watch. Just be forewarned, there is some nudity and there is some language and there is definitely violence. When they're going to shovel snow that one day, remember, and the guy's not working fast enough or whatever, and they shoot him in the head right there on the side of the road. Very violent, but I would definitely recommend it. Absolutely. I think it is one of Steven Spielberg's greatest movies he's done, and I like almost everything Steven Spielberg that I've seen. So that's my recommendation. Kyle, what do you think of this movie?
I largely want to echo virtually everything you said. I think I would only in a way disagree that I don't think this film is more essential than any other film about the Holocaust in a way.
Right.
I think the main and most important factor is learning about those events, learning about what it took to survive, and learning the failings that led to the event happening. It's about learning about the failings of Nazism and those beliefs, and understanding how wrong it was, and how massive the injustices to humanity were done in that time period. And it's a difficult thing to do, but it's critically important that everyone does so. Not just Jewish people, not just anyone. It's all people to recognize just what happened there and why it happened, and how societies need to take an incredible effort to make sure nothing like that ever happens again. And not to say that it is the only event in world history of genocide.
Right. Well, it's like, we don't talk about politics on here on the podcast, but we started thinking about the Ukraine and Russia situation right now. Mm-hmm. What they say, what they said, the famous saying, those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times, especially the younger generation, I'll say, a lot of them don't. I guess they don't care, I guess would be the word I'm looking for, about history, because they're obviously trying to erase some of it. But that's what makes it history. If you don't learn from your past, you'll never make changes for the future. Mm-hmm. So by just saying, oh, I'm erasing this, that doesn't mean it didn't happen, and that just means eventually, hey, you're going to not remember this, and you're going to doom to repeat the future.
Or the idea of portraying it in any kind of gray scenario in my mind. I think I get really upset anytime I hear someone try to talk about World War II or Holocaust from like a both sidesism. That the German ever had a point at all. Like, no, that's not at all anything you should do. Or like trying to present things for kids to make their own judgments about.
Adolf Hitler was an evil man.
Yeah, Adolf Hitler was an evil man. Nazism is absolutely horrific and evil and horrible, and evidence of like a pitiful human being, absolutely disgusting in every way, morally speaking. So it's one of those things, like, it's very clear black and white in this issue, whereas many things in the world are gray. This is very clearly black and white.
Right, and even my own personal heritage, I'm German, and I sometimes I often wonder, were you related to some of the bad ones? I say it like that. I'm not saying they were bad. Were you part of the family lineage that actually was committed the war crimes on the Jews? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I'd want to know. You know what I mean? Because right now I'm German. I'm proud to be a German. Yeah. And Cherokee Indian, but I
think it's also, it's still probably okay to be incredibly German.
Right, yeah, right, and we're not saying that if you're German and somebody in your family was doing that it was their fault. They were probably say, hey, you do this, or you can get in line with them. You know what I mean? The way Hitler was.
Yeah, and indeed, I guess from somewhat of a historical perspective, I agree. It is not about individuals themselves being evil. It's about a systemic problem that made people complicit in mm-hmm. atrocities being committed in Germany and across the world. Mm-hmm. And it's not like I said, not like Germany was the only place to do that. Even America itself has a long history of racial segregation and slavery and all those kind of things too, and that goes the entire world over. Of course, everything else, like there is a long history of genocides and injustices across the world. The Holocaust is one of the most
famous,
well documented,
right,
and easy to point a finger at, and that's why I think we choose to do it as a society, and I think that's important that we do so because it's such a very important lesson to teach everyone. So yes, I recommend most people watch this film as well as many other things about the Holocaust and read books and learn the history about it. This is definitely, like I said, this is an R-rated film, clearly for nudity and language and violence and absolute brutality of injustices being committed that are difficult to watch even as an adult, and it can be incredibly difficult to understand as a child. So clearly, if you're ever watching this with anyone in a younger persuasion,
right,
you need to have discussions with them before and after to help them understand and kind of be able to process those things, because it can be very, very difficult to understand those things. You can even struggle with it as an adult, and that's perfectly understandable. But it is important that you do take those times to understand those things in your life, because it will benefit you. This will benefit you in your day-to-day life as you deal with other people, and learn that how easy it is to be the wrong person sometimes,
right?
And what it takes to be a good person. So that's how we all feel about the podcast. I think I agree with you, and you agree with me on that one.
A very powerful movie. After me and Kyle is going to have some fun over the next few weeks, because after doing a movie like this, it is just emotionally and physically draining, mentally draining. So we've decided what we're going to do. We'll go ahead and give you the next few movies that we're going to be doing. We want to finish the 3 James Dean movies. We did Rebel Without a Cause. So the next time we record, we're going to be doing East of Eden from 1955, which is another James Dean film. And then after that, I think the week after that, we're actually going to take a break and do comedy, probably one of my favorites of all time, Young Frankenstein, Mel Brooks, just so we can just sit back, chill, and have a good time. And then we also plan on doing after that James Dean's last movie,
Giant.
And then we are going to probably do a real talk covering the death of James Dean and some more about his life. Is he just famous for what happened, his tragic death, or was he going to be a great actor? Stay tuned for that real talk. Kyle, I think we've rambled on long enough. Make sure you go check out Schindler's List. If you'd like to leave us an email, we will read it on the air, thetragedyofcinema@gmail.com. You want to join our Facebook page? We are the Tragedy of Cinema Podcast group on Facebook. Kyle has promised me that this week he will get TikTok out. At least try to.
I'm going to get some TikTok stuff done. I'll figure some stuff out.
Yeah,
I got things on
and not
the ideas.
Shooting a lightsaber in your face.
I make no promises.
We are having a live show July 16th here in Indianapolis.
Right around the corner.
Yeah, feel like I know. If you look on the Facebook page, you can see where you can get tickets. I think they're $20 or $25. So you can come hang out with me and Kyle. We got some exciting stuff planned for it, which we are feverishly working on. This past weekend, I did get to go to a live Hillbilly Horror Stories live podcast with Brohio and Mysterious Circumstances, Justin Rimmel. And by the way, free plug for Justin. He just released 2 episodes on the Black Sox scandal that the movie 8 Men Out was made about Shoeless Joe Jackson, all them guys. It is a fantastic podcast to listen to. So go check out Mysterious Circumstances and listen to the Black Sox scandal of episode 1 and 2 that he did. They were fantastic. I also got to meet some of our fans and some new members to the podcast. Anna Kenyon and her husband Jim, who actually live just outside of St. Louis. They were great people. Tiffany Boots, of course, who emceed the event. So just all in all, a good time, and it's fun meeting people. Mm-hmm. Something that we're tossing around the idea, which I want to do at one point, is we will try to do a live podcast show, a 24-hour continuous podcast for the Connor Emery Epilepsy Foundation. So any donation that you give will go straight to them. I just think it would be funny how slapstick and silly Kyle can get after more
being
than
delirious
just
and
2
sleeping.
hours.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think it would be a great way to make money and just to have different people come on. We could call people on the phone. We could interact with people. Maybe put it on Facebook Live. We'll see how long we could go. I think it'd be pretty cool to make that 24-hour mark.
I think it'd be great. I think it's a great idea, Jimbo. I really do. Yeah.
So we got some things planned for the future, so hang with us. So with that being said, I think this episode's coming to a close, and that's a wrap.
And cut.